Think for understanding the psychology of markets, this is unbelievably important. Think about how much craziness there was when we were trading up here at around $10 on natural gas. It was all about, oh my goodness, Russia's cutting off supply to Europe, and the winter's coming, and all this fear, right? Fear, fear, fear. And if there's one thing I know is when there's so much fear out there, it's usually the opposite of it. Usually the opposite occurs. And here's another great example of this. And by the way, you could go to oil, mind you. You could go to the oil chart. Remember when Russia invaded in February, March of 2022, and oil was at $130? All the analysts on TV, everyone was like, oh, it's going to $200 a barrel. What did oil do? Well, it basically went straight down. It held above in the 120 range for a little bit, then 100 range for a little bit, and obviously it's sitting in the 70s now. But my point is, again, is that as traders, as investors, as just, common sense people that you guys are, always remember that. When you see that massive fear, don't get caught up in it. Instead, step outside of the circle, the fear circle, and think logically. Think through the process. Think through Federal Reserve's raising interest rates across the globe. Think about the technical slowdown that you're going to see. What does that do to demand? So even if you do have issues with a commodity being scarce, well, if all of a sudden economies are slowing at a rapid pace, does that then change the structure instead of just focusing on the fear aspect? So again, that goes both ways, right? You get major fear on the other side when something's very, very low, or greed, right? Bitcoin at 69,000. I still remember when it was trading there, and I said, I was like, I went on multiple interviews. I was in Dubai at a conference, a crypto conference, and I said, hey, listen, according to everything I'm seeing in the charts, it's going to go to 20,000. And everyone was just like, dude, this guy's smoking something way too strong. He's crazy. He's a nut job. He's, and then obviously it goes to 20. And the point is, again, what I was doing is not only reading the chart, but also reading the room, or essentially reading the public, the view process, the psychology. And it's that combination. And by the way, when you read charts, you're essentially reading human nature too. It's emotion, right? It's greed and fear is represented in a chart. But when it goes up, it's greed. When it goes down, it's fear. Obviously, levels of that in the interim. But the point, again, is that as traders and investors, if you want to be successful, and again, that doesn't mean winning every time. It just means winning a majority of the time. You need to be able to read those signals, and you need to be robotic. You don't want to get caught up in the craziness of it, and you want to just kind of stick to the reality. And I know it's crazy, especially in this day and age. It's so hard to stick to reality because you have, Twitter, you have all these social medias, all this news is saying this and this. And again, honestly, it's done a huge detriment in my opinion. And I'm talking about all the news out there. It doesn't matter what it is. News, remember, their job is to make sure that you watch so that they can sell commercials, so that they can get advertisers on there. So what are they going to do? They're going to play to that. And this goes for all news organizations, guys. There's unless it's literally a nonprofit, it's going for all of them. All right? So it's not, there's no, this side or that side. No, dude, their job, they're literally a company that wants you to watch. So they're going to play stuff up. And so you have to be aware of that. And if you don't step out of that circle, you get caught up in it. And when you get caught up in it, you lose money. That's just the nature of it. All right? It is the nature of it. It is the truth. So again, if there's one lesson from today's video, stay outside, be outside of the bubble, essentially. Think independently, think scientifically, think logically, read the charts, learn how to read the charts, and again, don't get caught up in a human emotion.